Alright, I have another video standing. Special video. I get to stand and walk around and rant at you guys. The next lesson is about capturing 6/8 of a trend. So this lesson is a overarching macro bull run lesson, and it's a really important one to conceptualize. I say every video is important, but they all are really important to understand. But let's get into it. So to help you guys simply visualize what I'm trying to say, and I got a fucking ulcer in my mouth. It makes it hard to speak, but basically, to help you understand this concept, I need you to look at this imaginary coin. Now, this imaginary coin, I beautifully drew it, and it's a representation of a coin from the bear market to the bull market and to the new bear market. And what I want you to understand here is that capturing the green box return is 10 times more likely than capturing the red and green return. Okay? But how much more money do you make from all that extra risk of doing something that's 10 times less likely? Not much, is it? You only get a little bit more at the red, and you only get a little bit more at the red, but it's 10 times harder to do. So what would you rather? Would you rather, over a 20-year time span of investing, capture all the high probability moves, which get you 80% of the profits, or would you rather go for gold and have a 10 times less chance that you make money to try to capture a little bit more profit? See, it doesn't really make sense now, does it? So under this logic, you now understand that the goal is not to buy the bottom or sell the top, because it's a very low chance you can pull it off. The goal is to capture, da-dang, 6/8 of the trend. That's the goal. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, just so you understand, you're never going to reliably sell a top or buy the bottom. Sometimes you might get lucky. I got lucky. I talk about Toshi a lot. I bought the exact bottom, but also I forced the bottom, because when I say buy Toshi, you know how much fucking money people want to put into that shit? There's like 200k instantly into Toshi. So I sort of created the bottom. But anyway, a lot of the times you do get lucky as well. There's been many other times where I've bought the bottom. Not always happening, but sometimes it just happens, right? Sometimes you get lucky. But to try to consistently repeat it, which is what we're always trying to do, we're always trying to do things that we can repeat 100 times in a row and we end up in a profit. Buying the bottom and selling the top is just not one of those things. So the key to making gains, the big gains, consistently over a long time horizon, multiple bull and bear markets, is to capture 6/8 of the trend. Now, why is this? Because the key to success in investing over a long time horizon is to have a strategy which consistently puts the odds in your favor. Right? Investing is very similar to a game of poker. You win in poker by having an edge which you play and statistically makes you money, because it's just statistically the odds are in your favor. You play enough of the game with this edge in your favor, you don't succumb to emotions, etc. Boom, you just have profit. You just mathematically will have profit. Same thing with investing. You design a strategy which, over a long enough time horizon, puts the odds in your favor that you will inevitably end up in a profit. Okay? So trying to time the bottom instead of buying when upside is simply asymmetric is perfectionism, which massively decreases probability of success in markets. Right? Really, I'm putting it in bold because that's an important sentence. Perfectionism will cost you a good entry trying to find a perfect one, and thus removing any profit that you were going to make anyway. Right? Because when you try to perfectly buy a bottom, you miss it. And then you're chasing price, and then you probably don't even end up getting an entry. When you try to sell the top, you end up missing it. Price is now down 60%. You don't want to sell because you lost a lot of money. You're going to wait for it to go up a little bit. You never get it. Now it's down 90%. Congrats, you fucked yourself. Okay? Perfectionism will cost you a good entry or a good exit trying to find a perfect one. It is not worth trying to maximize the gains in a 5% probability scenario, especially when the upside is limited. It's better to maximize for pursuing high probability opportunities which still possess 80% of the upside. Okay? Another Kun tweet. I know you guys love this guy. Okay, so he was just referencing a quote here. One needs to be an optimist in times of maximum pessimism. But basically, what he said is slightly different to what the tweet was originally about, but it was a useful tweet. Sounds easy in theory, but in reality, things can always go lower. So the way that Kuhn gets around it, and the way that every good investor should get around the problem of price going lower, is you need to think about downside volatility. How much downside volatility will entering now incur? If the downside volatility is less than 30%, but there's asymmetric upside, then it's in a buy zone, right? Because the goal is not to buy the bottom or sell the top. It's to buy when there is a lot of upside and there's not much downside. Because remember, we talk about statistically, mathematically putting the odds in your favor. So let's make up a fake statistical mathematical strategy here. My microphone's being held, so I don't know how I'm going to do this. Let's put this here. Okay, that works. So, 80% win rate, 5-to-1 risk to reward, so you risk 20% downside for 2x upside. 100 investments in a row. Well, it's sort of more a trading perspective, but it applies to investing in a row. What is the outcome? Well, you win 80% of the time, and each time you win 5 times more than you lose. So let's say, I don't know how I would calculate this, but if you did it 100 times in a row, 80% of the time you win, each time you win, you 5x your money. So 100 times 80% is 80, times 5 is 80 times 5. 400. So in this example, you win 400. And how much do you lose? Well, 20% times 100 is 20. Times 1 is 20. So for every $20 you lose, you make $400. It's pretty good. I mean, this is not necessarily realistic, but in this exemplar, your win rate and your risk to reward ratio is designed in a way, based on the strategy, that it's profitable. Now, does this, just because you made this, does this mean it's real? Well, no, you have to test in back testing and forward testing the win rate, and you have to constantly optimize the strategy. But that's a general idea of the way that you can do math to understand what he's trying to say here, right? You win in investing by only making bets and buying when there's asymmetric upside, because you inevitably are going to lose money. So the only way to win is to win way more than you lose, and that's how you make money, okay? So how do you buy bottoms then? What's the mindset for buying bottoms? Well, every time it was the bottom,